Good morning, good afternoon, good night, my dears. Welcome to the Worldwide Podcast. And then we are back to the Balkan countries. Now we got the hugest one, Serbia. But before introducing our guest, I just want to ask, how is Guilherme? How are you doing, bro? Where have you been? What you doing right there? I see your nice stove. Really cool place you are right now, man.
My oven is very, very amazing, especially after Thailand when I didn't have one. So for cooking big dishes, nothing's better than an oven. I'm very good, still in Chile. Constipated a little bit. It's so cold, it's so windy, it's so rainy. Quite
Yeah,
different than Brazil, I presume. You know what's
yeah.
crazy is that
Fucking
in
hell.
the South Hemisphere, there's like only three countries that are really, really cold, which is like Chile, Argentina, and New Zealand. Yes, it can get cold in Brazil, in like Porto Alegre and stuff,
Yeah, in the south, in the south of Brazil, but
but
still,
man,
but still, not nothing comparing to Europe, the European
yeah, yeah,
cold.
yeah. And to Chile, Jesus. So
Yeah,
three
into
only
Chile
three
as
countries that
well.
get really cold, and I'm in one of them in the winter. But yeah, no, it's good.
And then we got Uruguay. Uruguay is cold as well. Yeah, Uruguay is
Yeah,
cold,
yeah,
bro.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is cold.
It can get
Can
cold.
get it
Yes.
can get cold. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
Argentina, south of Argentina and Chile is pretty
yeah,
cold. It's pretty
yeah,
cold.
yeah. Still, man, outdoor life is still great here in Chile. So enjoying even when it's like 5 degrees. But man, I'm excited because I think this is our last episode on the Yugoslavian era.
I guess, yeah,
Area, I mean.
we cover all. That's
Yeah, we
true.
covered
Yeah,
Slovenia, Croatia, Montenegro, and Bosnia. And now, the fifth one, we're going to cover Serbia. And I'm very
that's it.
excited,
Leave
especially
the
because
best
I've
for the
lived in the
last.
Balkans.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. Especially even more because lived in the Balkans. But yeah, getting into our podcast, we have our guest, Rade from Serbia. Quite an unusual guest because he's actually living in Brazil, so in
Yeah.
Latin America, like us.
So he's
And
actually understanding what we are saying right now. So yeah, it's pretty cool to share all
yes.
Hello, guys.
those Latin America feelings.
So, Rade, how are you? Tell to the people. How's it going in Brazil?
Very good. I'm very good. Brazil, Fortaleza. That's northeast Brazil. Um, it's a coastal city, beach, lots of sun. Um, hot,
Is it,
always hot.
yeah. Is
Pretty
it quite
beautiful.
different from Serbia? Because Serbia is interior, so of course, like no beaches, no, let's say, big sunny days during like winter times, like in there. Quite a difference, no?
You have it is very different. The climate is completely different. This is a beach city, and you have a lot of beautiful beaches in the city, and a lots of beautiful beaches within 2-3 hours drive from here. Um, and Serbia, without Montenegro, Serbia is primarily about mountains, hills, lakes, rivers. Um, it has four seasons. The mountains are beautiful during the summer and during the
Mm.
winter. We have, I think, 4 or 5 official ski resorts in Serbia, and you have one or two with very, very decent skiing, and a lot of um, international tourists coming to visit and ski. It's
Yeah,
not Olympic skiing, but very good skiing.
I was gonna say like I was gonna first start with like the change of image not only on Serbia but a lot of Eastern Europe because I remember when I was like 15 years old, 13 years old, everybody was afraid of Serbia. It was like
Yeah.
Serbia, it was like Albania, Bulgaria, all the people were so afraid of those countries. Now it is crazy, especially Albania. It's insane. But you were talking about skiing. I've met quite a lot of people, foreign people, Europeans, let's say Dutch, Swedish, Norwegian, that they actually made quite a few skiing trips in Bulgaria and in Serbia because it is crazy cheap and you can ski quite well as well. So it was quite a interesting thing that I learned because I had no idea that you could ski in Serbia and in
And I had
Bulgaria.
no idea. Like, I mean, it's the first time I
Yeah.
hear this. That's pretty cool.
I've skied since I was 3 or 4 years old. My father would take me. pretty much
Hmm.
every winter for at least a
Pretty
week. Serbia has decent skiing. Bulgaria has two very famous resorts in the mountains that are somewhat higher than the Serbian mountains or the ex-Yugoslavia mountains, for that matter. And they were developed by the French, and those are bigger, more touristy, more serious resorts in terms of the touristic offer. Serbia has very decent skiing that comes with a little bit of culture. We bring very good food up to the mountains. For example, Austria, France, Switzerland, they will not
Yeah.
bring good food to the mountains. You will eat mountain food. In Serbia, you eat good.
And
And
expensive as well. Like,
Yeah.
first of all,
extremely
a lot
expensive.
of those countries, the food is not the best. The portions are so small, and then it's
The
so
portions, yeah,
pricey.
it's all about the portions, man.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
It cannot fill me, man.
No, no, no. Especially when you have, I'm not sure what they have in Switzerland, but when you have a plate with cevapi, with that
Mm,
bread, those
that's amazing,
fries
man. I
delivered to
love
you
it,
after
man.
skiing,
That's
that's
pretty
heaven.
cool.
That's heaven for
Any
sure.
any mountain house will have a massive fireplace, let's say 3 or 4 meters by 3 or 4 meters, and then you're gonna have those pots and pans around with cabbage, with just meat that's been cooking there for three or
Variety.
four
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
days
variety.
slowly, and then the guy's just gonna come in, throw it on your plate, and then some meat is being smoked there that then they will throw on the grill, and then you have your variety of normal city grill like chirapi, like pleskarica, all that.
Cevapi. I love
Mm.
cevapi. I
There you
love
You
go.
it.
eat
I
so
love
much.
There you
cevapi.
go.
I'll
Yeah.
have it
So
like
so
twice a week in Croatia. Twice a week, at
so,
least.
so Serbian skiing is a lot about après-ski, even more so than just skiing. And I love that.
Yeah.
Pretty
No,
cool.
for sure. Highest level of coziness. Now, our guests must be probably already wondering, what is a Serbian man doing in Brazil?
Yeah.
Which can be quite
How come, man?
unusual. A lot of the times it's like the United States,
Sure.
England, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's
But
hard to see
Brazil?
someone from the Balkans, right here. It's usually to see the Brazilians right there doing capoeira or playing
Hmm.
soccer or basketball right there in Serbia, but not Serbians right here. So how come, bro?
Very true. So I have a son here. He's 6 years, and we lived in London, and he was going to school in London, and then he was moved to Fortaleza. That was a decision I was not a part of, and then I came to stay close to him, to be with him, um, to watch him grow and be around while he grows into a big boy that he is now.
Yeah, yeah,
Pretty
yeah.
cool, right? And when was it? Like, how long are you in Brazil so far?
So with a permanent address, I'm in Brazil for about 3 years, but coming and
Okay.
going, I would say close to 12 years coming and going. Some years spending 2 3 weeks, some years spending 2 3 months, and last 3 years living here full time.
Okay. Oh, pretty cool,
Yeah.
man.
And in comparison to London or even to Serbia, because in Brazil barely anyone speaks English and any other language, to be honest. So for you to having to learn Portuguese and in the beginning not knowing much Portuguese, to meet new people and to make friends, how hard was it? Also like the cultural difference from
And also
Serbia and
there
also
is
from
a
London.
there is a fact that he is not in like the big center like São Paulo, Rio. So he's in one
Yeah, yeah,
of the
yeah, yeah. So
cities
even
that
harder.
is even harder, yeah, for people
Yeah, in
to speak in
Ceará.
English right there.
Yeah.
No, just you can forget about English or any other foreign language for
Yeah,
that
it's
matter.
hard. It's hard in there.
Um, and it is impossible, like literally, you would die without water if you didn't speak Portuguese. People are extremely nice, extremely polite, so they just expect you
Sure.
to speak, and then the beginnings were fun. Uh, um, I would go to a restaurant, open a menu, and then look at the photos and try to relate names on the side to the photo. Then you see, here's all the time, must be rice. So this is rice, and so on. And then you start picking up words, and quickly you learn how to order in Portuguese basics in the restaurant.
Yeah,
How
and people there they're very polite. So if
very
you
polite,
yeah,
and
if
very
you're
forthcoming.
just come up trying to speak Portuguese, they will definitely help you and trying their best to help you somehow.
This is the one thing that I have developed here as a thought and going forward as an attitude. You come to Brazil, you say 3, 4 Portuguese words, and the people have respect for that. And then
Sure.
they make an enormous effort to engage in a conversation with you. When you're in Europe, any country, they will be looking down at you for not speaking their language. In my eyes,
Yeah.
when you start trying, you made 90% of the journey. The other person needs to make only 10. And if that person does not want to make that 10% and come and say, hey, I'm going to make an effort to understand what this person is saying, he wouldn't be doing that if it wasn't really important. This is a massive effort, right? If that person does not want to do that, I just like disengage. I simply do not participate in that conversation anymore.
Yeah, sure.
My language that is your mother tongue is not good for you. That's it. But Brazil is not like that. Anywhere in Brazil, Fortaleza as well. You say 2, 3 words, the people immediately
embrace you,
try
yeah.
to connect. Exactly. The other thing on the other side of that was pretty much all of them think that I'm retarded. Now my Portuguese is much better and they don't think anymore. But in the beginning, you start speaking and it is slow and the language is broken and you're struggling to find the next word. And they start treating it as okay, I will now talk slowly and simple to you. Yeah, I just don't speak the language.
I just don't
Otherwise,
understand the words. How will I understand if you speak slowly? Yeah, it happens
That's
a
the
lot
same.
right here. It happens a lot. But Red, you know what? I felt the same right there in the East Europe, I guess. Because when I was in Poland and I was trying to speak Polish with people right there, they would definitely help me and try and get really happy when I've, like of course struggling all the time for speaking their language, but they see that I was at least trying, so they're kind of like the smile would definitely show up in their faces whenever I just say hello, like chest in Polish to them. They would definitely just change how they treat me. So I felt the same right there in Serbia as well, like because I really really into languages. So when I went there in Serbia, I went with two friends. They were from Montenegro, and they were teaching me like normal words and kind of normal words, like very easy words. Of course, the bad words first. So I was saying like
Mhm.
all the time the bad words. So yeah, I just was showing up at a party right there, and I started to speak Serbian to them. They were like, "Ah, Brazilian who speaks Serbian." They were helping me all the time. So at least the right there in this part of Europe, the Balkans, and also the Eastern Europe, I felt like they're very similar to Brazilians, like in this way of embracing the language.
I'm happy to hear you say that.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Same experience in Croatia. I mean, when I was there, no Croatian classes, no nothing, but I had quite a lot of Croatian friends, a lot of local friends that I still talk to, message. And of course, I always try to like learn a thing or two, so I don't like to be like
Sure.
in a country and just like go straight to English. At least I would like to say hi or say something in Croatian and then obviously like say it in Portuguese. Like I even did it in Thailand. I learned like the basic Thai words, at least to say hi and just a few things, basics. But then obviously like I had to switch to English, but
Can I
not
get a
go like
bottle of
straight to
water?
English. Like I'm some
Yeah,
English dude with
sure.
Yeah,
no knowledge on languages. But yeah, man, hospitality in the Balkans, top notch, top notch. And I'm
yeah.
Sure.
sure
Yeah.
you see like the similarities with Brazil and with Latin America in opposite to like Central Europe and North Europe. Let's call
Ab-
it.
Absolutely, absolutely. The things that that you feel here, there are some things that are very, very different to Serbian culture, but then other are, I would say, identical. Whereas, like Serbia and Central and Western Europe has a lot of links, a lot of similarities, but there is a distance. Whereas in Brazil, it's funny, or here at least, there are some things that are identical, and you click in and you understand right away. And then there are some things that are so different that you never actually you can understand it here, but you can never accept it here in your heart.
Sure.
And culture is different if you keep thinking rather than feeling. The culture is different, but I've come to a point where I have friends here, and I go and I say, "Hey, now a lesson in culture. Tell me this. What did I do wrong? What do you do? Hey, I have a situation that I know how I would resolve it in Belgrade. I know how I would resolve it in London. I have no clue what this guy wants from me." And they're like, yeah, let's sit down. This is how it works. And oftentimes you just go and you say, boom, I will never understand why I accept, because I trust you implicitly, and this is what I'm going to do. Let's move on. But the things that are the same, they're the same.
Sure. I
Yeah,
have the same feeling.
I was even gonna say, like, in London, if someone goes up to you, you're already like thinking he's up to no good. And
Yeah,
in Brazil, it's the opposite.
yeah.
Because
Exactly.
here, like, also going to compare with like Venezuelans and Colombians, which are the people I hang out with the most here in Chile. Like, fantastic. Like, they're so, I think empathy, it's crazy because like in countries with so little, people have yet so much empathy and so much warm in their hearts. um and I, even when someone comes up to me, I'm not expecting something bad. I'm actually interested what he's going to say. But let's say like in London, if someone comes up to me, I'm like, whoa,
Yeah,
what's going on
yeah,
here?
yeah,
Not sure if
yeah.
you feel the same, but I felt it a little bit.
London is different because it is, number one, it's strange that someone will come up to you. That you have to think, why would you do that? People don't do
Yeah.
that. And then the second thing is, London is extremely busy.
Yeah,
My impression of São
very
Paulo was
crowded.
London, like you don't stop because, hey, I'm wasting my time here. I just lost whatever X amount of money talking to you, and I can't afford that.
Yeah.
So London, and my time in London and my memories of London are about efficiency, about
Hmm.
ability to work, ability to produce, uh, not really about. I have great friends that I've made in London that I hold dear to my heart. Uh, uh, it's just that when you say, if you want to generalize, London is not about the warmth. London is about the
The
efficiency and
grind.
productivity.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Right.
the grind, the
yeah.
grind.
They hustle a lot. They hustle there for
Yeah.
sure.
I mean, to be honest, if I were to live in London, the only reason would be that I would getting really well paid, because I wouldn't see
Sure.
myself living there. Especially when I have a lot of people, or know quite some people, foreigners who live in London, and they stay at home most of the time. Like they come from work, they stay at home. Happens like more, let's say, colder countries, even like Switzerland,
Hey,
because
those that are
obviously it's
like
not. Yeah, it's not like appealing to go outside when it's like snow and cold. Even like there are some ways to counter this, because I'm sure Zagreb during like February and January, it's cold and it snows and it's ice on the floor, but quite crazy. They should implement this here in Santiago. All of the bars have like outdoor like solar or heating panels, which
Yeah, those are
changes the
cool.
whole
And
thing.
also in Poland.
I'm sure, but like I've been I'm sure Switzerland has this. I couldn't say, but I've been to quite some countries that are quite cold, but I've never seen these things happen. And what happens is in Zagreb, even when I was there during January and February, we would still go out to the bars because it is nice and cozy, just obviously like put on a jacket and stuff, but still being seated down or being up with a drink, with the solar, with the heating panels, it changes everything. It's insane. Here in Santiago, if they implemented this, I'm sure so many more people would be
To
outside.
go out. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
And
especially
Guilherme,
like during these months.
do you remember Hakia Bar right there in Zagreb,
Of course,
in the
a
city
great
center?
hack, man.
That's pretty
They
cool, man.
all that bar area had those heating panel
Heating
thingies.
stuff, yeah.
Yeah. Every single one.
And there
You
were
can't smoke
like
indoor in Zagreb,
25.
right?
In
Mm,
Croatia,
can't
there
remember.
there are some bars that you can. Yes, there are some bars that you
In
can.
Montenegro,
But
you
it's like
could, for sure. In Montenegro, for sure, you can. But in
Yeah.
Zagreb,
that,
I don't remember.
You know
that's
what's
why one thing
crazy,
I don't.
Rade? Just on the smoking thing. I was very surprised, not to go on a tangent, but I always thought obviously like the Balkans would do this. But then when I went to Berlin, the two times that I was there, every single bar you could smoke inside, and that was crazy.
Yeah, in
Every
Berlin,
single bar.
there is
And
this fact.
like for me, it's I don't smoke, and the smell of tobacco is very bad. But at the same time, the vibe of those bars are
It's
so
different.
cool.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
have two
yeah.
two opposites that
Mm.
clash, and I don't know how to feel about it. But yes, in Croatia you could find a few bars, and I'm sure you were going to talk about Serbia, but yeah, I'm sure it's the
No,
same.
not really talk, but when you said that, you have these things in Belgrade with the panels or gas heaters
Mm,
outside, but as you're still permitted to smoke indoors, people do not come out during the day when it's warm. Yes, and you have those infrared heaters, but I think Zagreb primarily is about, hey, I wanna have a ciggy, and that's why you have the garden in the very cold days. But what I like about Belgrade, what I love about Belgrade is end of April and beginning of May, when people literally the city comes out of the
mm.
winter hibernation and all the bars open, the gardens, and everyone gets ready to come and show the summer colors, and the
Mm.
city comes to life. And so from the end of April until the end of the school year, which is, let's say, mid-June, that for me is the best time to go and visit Belgrade and feel the energy is different to any other part of the year.
Yeah. I think what helps Zagreb is obviously the college environment, the students. That's why it's all year round. And even man, even in February, like you'd see, it's funny. I'm sure Serbia is the same. The Balkans and south of Europe, people round they like gather around like monument or like monumental areas. For example, like a theater. Well, in Zagreb was a theater, but it's also like just a statue of some sorts. In Italy, it's literally that. Like people, they first because there's a culture of pre-drinks that, for example, the Netherlands
Yeah,
has, where you go to someone's home. In Croatia, in south of Europe, that doesn't exist. You go to a grocery store, you buy cans of beer, and then you go to like a monumental area, like a theater or a national theater or a statue or something. Then
place
there's
to
a
drink.
multitude of people there. They drink everything. Then you go to the bars. Then you go to the club.
Preferably you go around an area that has a fountain, so you dip your feet into a fountain and drink your beer, and then you go
Oh,
out.
the amount of people I saw going on dips on the Zagreb fountain in the center, disgusting, but so funny. But yeah, for sure. For
And
sure.
how was
That's
there,
how it works.
how was there in Serbia, like growing up right there as a teenager? How was the vibes before going to the party? Was going to a friend's place and having a drink before, or having hakia, tons of hakia, and get drunk before I enter the club? How was it?
Yeah. And
Look,
also like the
look.
difference between Yugoslavia and also like now
Yeah.
Serbia. Like yeah, just how different is it
Well,
now?
sure. Let me talk about that. So for me, there is a big difference between, let's say, teenage days and university. So high school and university school, it was primarily house parties. You
Mm,
start Thursday, maybe even Wednesday, you start talking, hey, someone's giving a party, who's going to be that part of the town. We were not going out partying, and if I remember correctly, it was allowed, but not that easy to get into the clubs at the age of 16, 15.
Sure.
But it was very easy to get a hold of a couple of beers at a local store. Yes, and then sometimes we would start in school. Really, there were days when a friend would bring a homemade rakia, and that would come
Ooh.
in a plastic bottle like this,
Yeah.
a liter plastic bottle, and it comes and it's nice and warm and makes you blind, and you pass it around during the lectures, and then when you come out, you're already merry. Get the
During the
first beer
lectures.
somewhere. Exactly. No, that was the plastic bottle was in the school. I don't know how why the teachers were tolerating, because I'm sure that the classroom was reeking of rakia. And then we would go out. Friday, Saturday was usually a house party, or if we're lucky, we'd be invited to um, uh, like a university dorm that would have a bar, and we'd all go and hang out with the students. Sometimes you would go into a club, but the problem with the clubs, they started very late. It was difficult to get in. You have to dress in a certain way, pass the sort of a visual test
Oh,
of the
really?
bouncer.
That like classicism. It's interesting, but I mean, maybe do you think that has to do with like Yugoslavia or just plain Serbia that had this?
No,
Because Croatia is
no,
quite the opposite.
no, that was Belgrade those days, Belgrade 90s. You
Mm.
have to understand, 90s, it is
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it
the
was
fall of
different
Berlin
times, right?
Wall, and the war started, the actual economic system broke. You had new rich that are very, very different from any other type of new rich that you can think about.
Mm.
So Belgrade was at that. I did not feel it in a way that any sort of pressure or lack of some things or certain things or anything. But Belgrade was different.
Yeah.
Those years, my high school years, they were pretty much war. Um, a lot of various uniforms in the streets. A lot of young boys and young men, teenagers, really 17, 18, 21, 22, killing each other in little clashes that never affects anyone who is outside, but you see it in the news, you hear
That's
it's
crazy.
happening,
You know
becomes a
about it. It's like
subculture.
a time of uncertainty because you never know what's going to happen.
And
Well, it
then,
was more a time of opportunity for some, you know.
yeah, yeah, sure,
Or that.
sure. Yeah. And I guess it was one of the first wars that was actually well covered by TV. So I guess it was the
It
first
was,
one that the TV could cover it all, I
it
guess.
was, yes. Everything was
Yeah.
covered, everything was in the news. So that was my high school. Then university was different. And university was, I would say, not at all different to what you would have in any big city in Europe, which is my university. I worked hard, I studied too much. I wouldn't go
Hmm.
back there. I do
Now,
something easier.
during university, can you say that you could now get into the clubs with flip-flops or no? No flip-flops into the clubs.
Look,
Flip-flop. People don't use flip-flops there.
You I would
nowadays, I
see
don't know how it
Croatians
goes.
getting the clubs with flip-flops. That's all I'm saying.
No.
They're
I,
a whole new breed.
you know what is nice? Talking about Belgrade night scene and how it is now. And actually, I had a lot of that. Come summer, we have those plovi, those rafts or vessels by the river um, that turn into clubs, and you would stay up in the old city up until around midnight, and then you would walk across the bridge, then you would hit one of those, and you would stay until
Hmm.
sunshine and in the sunlight really in the morning. And that is really nice. It's open air, the music blasting, you have your drink, it's summer, you're in a t-shirt, and you keep going literally until you're too hot to be in the sun. And it still goes on today, and it is still very popular, and tourists come to experience that. But you see, that for me wasn't high school. You don't do that. You don't do that as a teenager. You start as a student, and then when I went to London and I started working and I had a little bit more money, then that buys you a little bit more access in the clubs and all.
But the problem with now that you when you were working in London is that the time becomes shorter, and maybe the motivation to go out into clubs, let's say, becomes also
we come
less.
last. Yeah.
It's quite funny because I compared, like, for example, to gaming, like PlayStation games or whatever. Like at that age of like 12, 13, 14, you barely have any money for the games, but you have a lot of time
With
to
a
play
lot of
the
time
games.
for playing the games. Yeah.
And then once you have like a job to have money to buy the games, now you have very little time to play the games and
Sure, well,
motivation because you want to do
yeah,
other things like social clubs or whatever it is. So yeah, it is insane, the difference.
it is. And Rod, how come that you went to London actually? Why did you go there? How did you decide to go out from Serbia?
And why London out of all the
Why London?
countries in the
Yeah,
world?
specifically London.
London, look, guys, people have an idea about London, and London is not a hospitable city in a way that to the newcomers, in a way that
Not at all.
no, I know. But look, São Paulo is not a hospitable city to a newcomer at
Not
all.
at all. Not at all.
However, São Paulo is a great city, and it sits on the top of
Working at.
a crazy machine that is South America. It is the only city in South America if you talk about business and money. In the same way, getting into London is not easy, and it's not fun, and it certainly does not feel good. But what London has to offer and what London gave to me is amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm very happy that I spent a large part of my professional career there, pretty much everything of my professional career there. I'm very proud of that. I feel very fortunate. So talking about London, I graduated from University of Belgrade, and I was able to get a scholarship to do a PhD in London, Imperial College. Beautiful
Did you
place.
choose London or
Wow.
did you have like a list of options, or how come
I was applying. London was the closest to home. I was applying to places in the US and London.
Yeah.
And to the date, I still would not choose, if we're talking only about cities, I think if I had to choose again, I would choose London again. Hands down, no doubt.
That's great. That's great.
So I think there was a great choice, and I was lucky. And I was fortunate to be given this opportunity. Imperial College is one of the top institutions in the world. And I got a PhD there. And after that, I got into a bank. And at that time, getting into a bank was like today is getting into Google or Facebook. Or maybe it's not Google or Facebook anymore. Maybe it's some new tech company. But it was like a very prestigious thing.
Yeah. Now in Portugal, if I go to the bank, the bankers straight up look at me and they say, never get into this job. My God.
Yeah, I know.
Get yourself something better. This is not
I know.
good life.
But look, 20 years ago,
Yeah.
I
It was more
literally
prestige,
got,
maybe.
Yeah.
up until 2008, it was extremely prestigious. Then 2008 and the credit crunch, people did not like bankers anymore. But
I guess now there's also like so many just digital ways to
Digital
get
banks,
money.
yeah,
And yeah,
sure.
digital banks, and you've got like also the blockchain. There's so many like ways to transfer money much easier. I speak for myself. I think so many banks are just old-fashioned, because why would I choose a bank when they take at least like 3 days to 5 days to make a transfer to a person that lives in the same country as me? So same banks or same countries, same nationalities, whatever. And when I can have a digital bank and it comes in seconds and I don't pay fees. And if I
Yeah.
send it to another nationality with different currency,
And I don't have
there's
to go
also
to the
no
bank
currency
for
fees.
solving whatever. Like for
Yeah,
example, those old banks, you definitely have to go to the bank for solving your
it,
life or your problem right there.
yeah,
True.
and of course there's good benefits with banks like getting a loan. Of course, you cannot just do that with many digital banks, and it's maybe a bit more sketchy. So there's things that you definitely need a bank for. But like if you're just saving a bit of money and just living very basic, I mean, yeah, just digital banks. But I'm sure you have a different perspective because you did
No,
work in
no,
one.
no. Exactly what you're saying. What has happened is actually two very strong forces came from opposite directions and squeezed the good lifestyle out of banking profession. Um, so from one side, what you were explaining is actually some people opt for one, for the other stuff. Some people, young people especially, start thinking what we need and how we need. What that results in, your profit margins come down significantly
Yeah.
as a bank. And then on the other side, after everything that we have seen and South Europe suffering a lot from credit crunch, among other places, not South Europe only, you see a lot of regulation that constrains the way you do business and raises the cost of doing business. So on one side, your profit margin is coming down. On the other side, your cost is coming up, and the ability to navigate your business is narrowing. And this is what has happened. Yeah.
Yeah. And I could also just finish by saying the UI and the UX in a lot of the apps from the banks, especially if it's an app owned by the government, it's absolutely awful. It's so bad. I speak for the digital banks that I have. Like they have statistics that tell me exactly how much money I spent I spent in grocery, in leisure, in all these things.
Good.
It's quite easy to also just put money in another account in a vault. Let's say if I'm saving, then have another vault that gets interest. There's one that even has way better interest than any bank in Portugal. So with let's say 1,000 euros, I get way more money in like 6 months in one of these digital banks than I would do in a Portuguese bank. So for me, truly, it's the UI, just how easy it is to use an app because you're going to use it every day, and that changes the whole thing to me at least.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I agree.
The good thing actually, my bank in Portugal, it's not fully Portuguese, so I will admit the app is really good. So that is one of the reasons I still have it. Obviously, like reassurance because obviously like my parents don't understand like digital banks and that kind of stuff. So it's always good to have like at least your own local bank, but with the least I don't know how to call
Paperwork.
it, like the least amount of money to pay
Money
for
right
them
there.
to have the
Yeah.
account. Yeah, just to at least have something there. But yeah, for sure. Just one thing, because I really want to know more about Brazil. Just one thing to close on Serbia, at least. Uh, you had told me that you went, I'm not sure if it was this year or last year, back to like Belgrade and to Serbia for a little bit. How was it to see the difference, maybe in like more youth in there in terms of also maybe foreigners, more outdoor also environment from again like foreigner people, but also like students from abroad that go to Belgrade to have an exchange program. Did you see like a lot of difference or not at all?
A lot of difference. Belgrade,
Yeah.
Belgrade is changing all the time, and it is developing. A lot of money is coming into Belgrade, a lot of investments. You see some nice things happening there because of that money coming in terms of the public areas, parks, it's becoming more accessible. But the other thing, where I live in Belgrade is a historical city center. You don't hear Serbian there anymore, like some parts of Montenegro coast where you hear English or Russian. Now central Belgrade, you hear pretty much English first, Serbian second, then you hear Turkish a little. Turkey prohibited smoking indoors, and now Turks are flying to Belgrade to smoke in a bar and then go back home. So you have lots of Turks in my area. The funny thing is, my street has 3 Turkish restaurants being held and managed by Turks, which for me is crazy. Like you know.
Yeah, back in the days, you cannot imagine a foreigner owning a restaurants right there in Belgrade, right?
Maybe like just Chinese, but like now with like, for example, Turks and
no. A private person owning a restaurant. No. I grew up in communism.
That's the point.
Like
yeah, sure.
You had state-owned restaurants here. There will be some it was difficult. It wasn't like that. Nowadays, anyway, I'm gonna get a boutique, I'm gonna throw the clothes out, and I'm gonna put a stove in, now I have a restaurant. And then
like a family-owned shop.
And then 3 Turkish guys, right? My building, 3 Turkish guys, none of them speaks any Serbian. I mean, the guts of those guys to come to Belgrade to open a store without speaking I don't know how they did it. The other funny thing is we have a food delivery app, much like iFood is here or Uber delivery, and majority of those guys, I guess because it is easier to start working without having to register with the government, majority of those guys simply do not speak a single word of Serbian. And then the funny thing is, my door the name is in Cyrillic. So a guy comes like from Central Asia, a guy comes and he stands in front and he's like, I see the name that's in Latin, but I don't know how that translates into Cyrillic. And then he stands in front of my door, holding the bicycle and waiting for me to come down.
Very confused.
Very confusing.
But, I can imagine.
Very touristy, extremely touristy, full, very lively. Not as safe as it was when I was a boy, but I guess nowhere is safe nowadays. But nice. A lot of money came in, and everything looks more beautiful.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, now I really want to talk about like you. First of all, you thought you were saying just in the beginning that you had like friends in Brazil. I'm really interested to know, how did you get those friends in the first place? How hard was it? Was it through social events, social clubs? Because I'm sure a lot of listeners like who immigrate to a new country, it's quite hard to make new friends in the beginning. So how was it for you to make friends in a country where you were still learning the language? And now you speak quite well, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Not an easy language to learn.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that you've learned the Brazilian one, because your accent is way more similar to mine. And I'm sure it's way easier for you to learn my Portuguese, but you've learned the Brazilian one, which is a bit more slow and let's call it charming, but it's crazy for me at
more
least.
singing, yes.
Yeah.
That was the only one I was exposed to.
Yeah, sure, man. Congratulations on your Portuguese. I mean,
Thank you.
3 years of learning. You're doing very well, man. Congrats.
Thank you. I had a very good teacher, a very nice girl. She moved to Portugal now. She's doing a master's in some language, and I worked with her with the idea of passing this CELPE-BRAS, which is I guess the most relevant Portuguese proficiency in Portuguese as a foreign language. Okay. And then when I managed to pass that, I was very happy about that. But it was hard work, and especially you start really applying yourself to a completely new language at the age of, let's say, 45, not easy. It's not like when you started
Sure,
in
man.
elementary school or high
When you're
school,
Yeah.
when you're a kid.
but done. So talking about friends,
Yeah.
I've always done sports in my life, various stages of life, different sports. Love sailing, and my first flight or visit to Ceará was Ceará is the state here, with capital Fortaleza, was to do some kite surfing. And my first friends here are actually people I surfed with, and one of them stayed friend for 12 years now. Um, in the meantime, he opened a very nice barraca, which is a beach bar, and
Bahag.
and I spent a lot of time there. Uh, uh, Very nice guy, and he's been a friend from the beginning. And then at some point, when I moved here, I started going to a local gym. And the other thing, so kite surfing is very much northeast Brazil, very much Ceará. Probably the most famous beach for kite surfing is Jericoacoara, that is here
Yeah, right
in
there,
Ceará.
sir.
And it is very much a cultural thing doing kiting. And I was thinking, okay, I want to immerse myself into the culture. And then the second thing that is not Cearense, but very much Brazilian, it's jiu-jitsu. And I started doing
Mm.
jiu-jitsu. And I do a lot of jiu-jitsu, and today most of my friends are the jiu-jitsu guys. And what you learn with jiu-jitsu is very funny. It's like they're like a London gentleman's club or a Freemasons on a mat, and you walk into the club in the class. You step on the mat, and then you're like, hey, I want to buy a car. It's that guy. Now I need to fix the car. It's that guy. Now I need a lawyer for this. It's that guy. And for most of the things nowadays, I don't go out to the club, you know. And then slowly, the other thing, now being talking more about the social side, the other thing is you go and you fight, and jiu-jitsu is a very dangerous sport, and you develop a certain level of trust that you wouldn't normally develop playing chess or just hanging out in a bar, just having a beer with a guy. So you develop a certain bond where, like implicitly it's always like, I could have hurt you, but I didn't, because there's no need to. It's not nice. I want to train with you. I want to stay friends. And then you start hanging out, and then, hey, who trains without having a beer afterwards? So you go for a beer after training, and then, hey, do you want to go and hit the gym? Yeah, and then you
Yeah.
just
It's all about
slowly to.
contact. It's all about
Yeah.
having contact with people and hanging out.
Exactly,
Yeah, sure.
exactly. So it
And
was
that,
sports, always
Yeah,
sports.
sports. Yeah,
yeah.
sports. Gather people, man. Gather people. Like it
Exactly.
makes
And
you.
it's
That's a very good mechanism for knowing people.
Yeah, and especially again going to a different country, it's something that you will know you will unite with someone from there. So, for example, for me, maybe with Muay Thai or surfing, if I go to another country, I'll try to find maybe people that have interest in those that I can surf with or that I can spar with, maybe as the same as Jiu-Jitsu. So 100% the thing that I always try to do is one, CrossFit as well. CrossFit is a great way. Also, a lot of CrossFits maybe don't have this, but the few ones that I've been to, it's like a family.
Yeah,
Afterwards, you go also do some social events like hiking, go for a beer. Football groups is also a
Yeah,
really
football
good one
groups
that I
are
like.
very good
And
ones.
football is interesting to me because I don't like watching football. I think it's boring, but I love playing football. I love playing
Well,
football.
yeah.
Love playing football. And it's such a sociable and very accessible sport to most people that everybody just plays, has
Having
has
fun,
a good time having cardio,
make
and
barbecue
then
right after.
yeah, make the asado, the barbecue, and then also like beers and stuff. Like every country, literally every country that I've lived, I always had a football group. This is crazy. Every single country. It's the first thing that I look when I go into a new country, football group.
Pretty
Crazy.
cool.
Right.
Well,
That's
first
cool.
accommodation, then football group.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
I had to, football for me is difficult. And London is all about football. If you don't play football, you talk about football. If you don't talk about football, you're buying stuff for football. London is crazy about football. And I never
Mm.
loved it. But you have to play it. Otherwise, you are the odd one out. So I played and I forced myself. I played like if you want to get yourself an invite for the beer, you have to play football first.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
It, I don't like it. Basketball is my that sort of the ball game is
Oh,
basketball.
basketball.
I love
Oh,
basketball. I love
yeah.
basketball. And my first friends in London were basketball. I started playing immediately, as you say. Went to the university. I want to see where the basketball club is. Ha, boom. And that was my first friends, first sociable beers. Then I started working for, while still a student, I started working for uh, a company there, and the English don't play basketball, but the Americans do. And then you find an American, or you find a Greek
Yeah.
or
Mm.
Italian. There you go, Spanish. There you go.
Spanish people, yeah.
You start you know, like you hear the accent, boom, let's talk basketball.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm into basketball too, right? I do play basketball right here. I've played basketball my whole life right here in
I
Brazil.
saw your.
Yeah, yeah. That's it. That's
I love
Flamengo
basketball,
jersey.
man.
Yeah. And Jokic. So yeah,
You're,
it might be you might be very proud of your guy
uh,
right there doing good in the
I
NBA.
Did you watch? Did you watch the first round? The second round of the playoffs, Fortaleza, Flamengo.
Yeah, I've been, man. I've
Oh
been to the
man,
game. I've been to the
oh
game,
man,
man.
I was gonna go. I actually met all the people running Fortaleza Basketball Club as it is. Like, huh,
Oh, cool.
the 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 the, the jiu-jitsu coach is also was a fitness coach for the basketball club,
Pretty
and I was
cool.
gonna go see game three, but just next year we're waiting
Yeah,
for you.
next year. Yeah, and then you're gonna lose again to Flamengo because we swept
I
for
know, but hold on,
the
but the budget, the money is
Yeah, bro. No, it's
it's
totally different, man. It's totally different. Like
you can't
there
compare
is,
it.
yeah, you cannot
Yeah.
compare. But the stadium there in Fortaleza is pretty good. And do you know, right?
But
One of the best players in the history of Flamengo, like I mean, the soccer one, was Serbian,
Of
Dejan
course,
Petkovic.
43.
Dejan Petkovic,
Yeah,
43.
he
Yeah.
he was the captain of my club before he moved to Brazil.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
mm,
Red Star Belgrade.
Wow, pretty cool, man. Pretty
He's
cool.
actually currently he's the honorary consul of Serbia in Brazil.
Yeah, sure. No,
oh,
he's very influential right here. Like he's a commentator and TV sports
Yeah,
commentator. His
yeah,
Portuguese is amazing. He
yeah,
speaks very good and fluently Portuguese, and he's one of the best players in the history of Flamengo, man. Like for
yeah,
real, for real.
yeah.
I don't know how he never played in the national team. I don't know
I
why.
know this. No, I'll tell you the story. So basically, what had happened, those were the difficult years, and some people would pay a lot of money to appear on the national team, so that they would
Really,
get
you
to go
could
to.
pay?
Yeah, of
Wow, that's
course.
crazy. That's crazy.
Or there were some people who would be, um, hey, if my best man doesn't play, I'm not gonna come and play for the team. So some people were invited like that, and he
That's
was not
crazy.
invited, and he
That's
went
mm.
crazy.
and he gave, as we say here, porrada.
Mad.
He gave an earful uh, to the football federation, and he told them never call me again, and then found a very distant place to play football in, and he went to. I think he started in Salvador first, and then moved around.
Yeah. Bro, he was one of the best players I've ever seen live. for sure. That's why for me it's crazy that he's never played for Serbia national team. He was one of the best players I've seen live. He scored a goal against Vasco. I was in
I
the
know that
stadium
one,
and it was bro, insane, insane.
but
He was one of my childhood heroes.
at that time he was probably the best player we had. That was the thing.
For
And then
sure.
he just got annoyed by the politics and nepotism and all, and he was like, I don't need this.
Goodbye.
Mhm.
Man.
Crazy.
Rade, let's close off this podcast with I'm really interested you having a kid in Brazil and you
That's right.
raising him in London and like
And
having
congratulations
to move.
for the hustle, man. For moving
Yeah,
from
yeah,
here
yeah.
and
Like
getting here.
moving straight
Congratulations,
out of
man.
the West to Latin America, especially for your kid. How is it like also the differences with London, but raising your kid there, outdoor activities, language barriers and anything, to be honest, safety as
So,
well.
so, 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 yeah, nice question. So basically,
Hmm.
it is very different. In some ways, um, at the early age, Fortaleza offers amazing opportunities uh, 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 to work with your kid, to offer experience to your kid, to do things. So um, when Marco was still a baby, uh, the first moment that the doctor allowed him to eat something, fruit, um, I went and picked a mango fruit from a tree.
Yeah.
Uh, I brought it, cut it for him, and the first thing he tasted was a mango tree from our tree, which for a European is Then when the doctor said uh, I can put him in a swimming pool, he was
Yeah.
about 5.5 months. I can't remember. I think 5 months. I was putting him in a swimming pool every single day for a year. Every single day he would swim. He would start 10 minutes, 15 minutes, but then very quickly it would be 1 hour. In Europe, in a big city, in São Paulo, in Rio, I think it's impossible. In
Mm.
in Fortaleza, every building has my building has a decent sized swimming pool. Like when London won Olympics, 2012 Olympics, at the moment it was announced that London won, London did not have a single Olympic-sized 50-meter swimming pool. Everything was 25. My swimming pool here is 25 in the building, just a
In
random
the
building.
pair. Yeah, it's totally
Yeah.
different.
So that was nice thing. The second nice thing is beach, everyday beach. You walk by the beach. You walk in the sand. We were doing. A friend of mine was a semi-professional football player, and he was telling me how you're preparing him to be a footballer because what I was doing with him, little sprints. Um, you go down as the wave retreats. You run down the sand and then you turn around and you have to run away from the wave. And it is like first 3, 4 steps, the one that Ronaldo phenomenon had. You remember
Yeah,
that
yeah,
he goes
yeah,
like,
yeah.
Yeah,
and he's gone.
just fast.
So you can do million things. Caveat: you can do million things between 6 in the morning and 9 in the morning. After that, no, like the sun is
Yeah,
unforgiving. But you do a million
very
things. Then
warm.
when he was 2.5, I put him on a surfboard, and there was a very serious beach with very serious waves. Uh, that he was standing up, still with those buoys, uh,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
uh, and he would stand up and he would get the wave, and he would go like 15, 20 meters on a single wave. Um, and being always summer, being always warm, allows you to do a lot of
More
sports.
outdoor stuff, yeah.
Exactly. So now he
It's
does swimming, football, karate, and he
Very
does
active. Very active.
and he does jiu-jitsu with me, and he loves
Cool.
jiu-jitsu with me. We fight all
mm,
the time. He goes into my club and all. So in that aspect, it is great. Where I think it is going to become more challenging is, like right now, bicycling. I'm very afraid to put him on a bicycle in the street. Um, for simply for traffic. Uh,
Mm,
People do not have that awareness of a bicycle on the road as they have in, let's say, Copenhagen, you know.
mhm.
So there is one park that he likes to go, and he's growing out of this park very quickly. He's just growing out. And then there are not that many places where you can ride a bicycle. And then also you don't want to ride a bicycle during the day. It has only to be
Early
late
mornings
afternoon
or
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 early
evenings. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then let's say you want to leave it for the evening, then you also have to start thinking about, at some point you have to start thinking about safety as well, right?
Mm.
So, but up until now, the things that I was able to expose him to in Fortaleza, I think it was great.
Oh, that's awesome. It's funny, like 3 days ago, I was having those like late night conversations with at like a very sketchy bar with bottles of beer that Brazil really has.
Oh, I love it, man.
I was at the point where we were at the third bottle, and we were talking about like where would we raise our kids if we had, right? And it sounds easy for someone who has lived in just one country their whole life,
Exactly.
but for me, like one of the things is I grew up in a coastal city with beaches, with islands, with everything. And I sometimes think about certain like big cities and the things that you cannot do in a big city, but you can do in a more small and coastal city like I've lived in. And I start to think, would I like to raise my kid in Santiago, for example, or in Lisbon? I don't think so, because I really appreciate him being able to one bike around without having to worry about traffic.
Being outdoors, right, Gay?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Having like good weather to go
Yeah.
surfing, for example, or to try like aquatic sports, to be exposed also to all other cultures. I think it's important. Now thankfully my cities and the
Yeah,
cities
your
close to mine are
hometown is
very.
very
Yes, yes, yes. It's grown exponentially, and now
international.
there's so
Yeah.
many communities there. So for me, those are like the primary things to be in a melting pot, or else you'll have to go to like international school or something. But at least be aware of other cultures. Coastal city, I think it's important. Like, of course, you can like go from beach to mountains. I've never grew up in a mountain place, so I don't know how it is. And there's hikes and there's outdoorish and whatever. But for me, I just love the beach so much that I would prefer the beach than mountains. And then be in a city where it's very walkable for
Yeah,
the bikes, for example, having like bicycle lanes, or something that is actually a project of European Union that the Algarve now has is ecovias, which is
Well,
like these paths along the coast, which are further away from the road, and you can only go there to walk, run, or take your bicycle.
bike.
And
mhm.
it's such an amazing project. I was talking about this literally with my friends back from back home. Like I was running there the last few times that I was in Portugal, and I just look at this, and it's so damn beautiful. You can see the whole Rio Formosa, which is for me the most beautiful thing in Portugal, uh, by bicycle, by walk, or running without any gases from cars or noise from cars or anything. But there's one thing. You barely you barely see any Portuguese people there. It's only
That's it.
foreigners. And that makes me so like God has given you this and you don't know and you do not use it.
You
But
take it for
it's
granted.
yeah, yeah. So I would say like in terms of infrastructure, like green ecological infrastructure is also like important. So yeah, that's at least what we gathered from that conversation
But
at
that
the
is
bar.
coming. I think
Mm.
from what you said, I think that certainly is coming. And I've organized, when I spend time in Belgrade, I've organized my life in Belgrade that I do not have or do not need a car. I do not use a car, do not use a taxi. I have an e-bike that I use when I really for long journeys.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then everything else I walk. And Belgrade is organized in a way that there is a exclusively pedestrian zone and a much bigger area that is now very friendly for walking. Um, and I think the cities are getting there. What you said, London now has ecovias or cycling paths that you
Hmm.
can take for, let's say, 30, 40 kilometers. And if you live, you may be living 40 kilometers out of central London, that still is probably London or considered to be orbiting around London. And you can
Hmm.
get to work by bicycle, not hitting any of the official traffic. Um,
That's really cool.
I think that is coming. I think coming back to what nature gave you in the beginning is very important.
Yeah.
And then culture. It is it is an uphill battle. It is extremely difficult. It is a lot of hard work to keep bringing the culture as opposed to letting your kid absorb it free. And I think that
Mm.
is very important.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Especially like if you raise a kid outside of your own country and he has to
That's it.
learn Serbian,
That's
you
it.
have to bring him the culture or else he's not gonna get it
That's
anywhere.
it.
Like if I were to raise my kid outside of Portugal, he's gonna learn Portuguese. I do not care if I'm married to a Dutch girl, to a
Sure.
Croatian girl, he's gonna learn Portuguese and of course like my girlfriend's like language, and English. Yeah, and
Yeah,
Spanish. English and Spanish are mandatory because my God, how life is so much easier with Spanish.
it
And I
is.
only learned this when I moved to Chile, but everywhere else I've traveled, my God, Spanish made my life easier and cheaper. Um, for sure, for sure, for sure, for
When we
sure.
were in London, we had a Bolivian babysitter, and then Marco would speak English at school, and he would be exposed to English on a daily basis. He would hear English. Uh, his parents would be talking English, and I would be talking Serbian. To him, his mother would be speaking Portuguese. And then the nanny tried to speak English with him, and I told her there's no need, just go hit him with Spanish. At some point, he will have to accept it. And
Hmm.
he did. And she was talking Spanish with him all the time, and it worked. So on a daily basis, he was hit with four languages, and the kids just they just the kids are amazing. They just go,
Yeah, kids
okay,
are built
thrown in
for
front of
this.
me, I'm gonna deal with it. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
How
Oh,
is
Rade.
he Serbian right now?
He understands everything. He doesn't
Okay.
like to speak. The other thing is a human brain is probably the laziest part of our body, and when you don't have to do it, the brain will not do it. So with me, he speaks Portuguese, and I speak, but I always exclusively spoke Serbian with him, never English, never Portuguese. Even in front of other people, I say, hey, I'm sorry, uh, I have to keep pushing Serbian with
Yeah,
the
you're
Bulgarian
right. You're
guitar I have
actually
with him.
very right.
So and you know what is the thing? English is impossible to not have. You will have it. Portuguese, the way he's growing up, he will have it. And Portuguese
Yeah.
is a much, much bigger language than Serbian. And Serbian, unless you really force it, he will never have it. And then the other thing about Serbian, with my Serbian, it takes me a little bit of an effort and a short period of time to adapt to Polish, to adapt to Czech, to start. These are easier, but even Russian, Bulgarian is very simple. So I do want him to have a a Serbian as a first language, because it would allow him to step into any other Slavic language.
Yeah.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
so you know you have to push. But with my brother, he speaks sometimes some words. When he wants, he speaks a bit more. When he doesn't want, he just goes and speaks full Portuguese. And my brother says yes, pretending he understands. Oh, very nice, very nice. It's all cool. But I speak Serbian with him, and he follows.
Okay.
Oh, awesome, awesome. Man,
Yeah.
Rade, thank you so much. This was a really, really, really cool podcast. Um,
I loved it.
yeah, closing off the Yugoslavian area. We do have to do like we haven't done. I'm very excited to do like Albania, North Macedonia,
Albania, yeah.
Kosovo, all those three
Yeah.
countries because even with North Macedonia, it's grown exponentially now. I have a lot of friends that went there. It's really cool to see. All these areas, like man, they've become the country that they are because of war. So it's always really cool to talk about these places. And I always, rather always, to people from outside of Europe, when they come to Europe, don't go just to the Netherlands, to Amsterdam, to Belgium,
Hmm.
to all those countries. Come to the Balkans, man. Come to nature in the Balkans. Nothing
Yeah,
beats nature in Slovenia, in
yeah, very
Croatia, in
true,
Croatia,
Serbia, in Bosnia,
very true.
Montenegro.
North
Yeah.
Macedonia, all
Very
those
true.
places, man. It's my favorite place in Europe. I
And
wouldn't trade it for
way
nothing,
cheaper to the other
and
parts.
cheaper,
Which
and
Yeah.
yeah, just so much.
and
So
and the portions.
And the
the
portions,
portions,
yeah, are
the portions,
pretty well
especially if you
amount of
like meat.
portions.
Yeah, man. Right, we always close the podcast with this open-ended question, which is, what is the thing that makes you the most proud about being from Serbia, especially when you come to Brazil
Right
or
there in
in
Brazil, when
London?
people asking, yeah,
Yeah,
what makes
from
you proof?
Serbia.
What
What is the thing
follows
that, yeah, that
the
follows
question?
that thing?
A nice question, very nice question. I think a the way we grew up never thinking about uh, those questions of identity, as you put it. And one of the questions, what makes you feel Serbian, is a question of identity. But anywhere I went to in the world, I felt very comfortable with who I am and very proud of who I am. So I would say what makes me proud about being Serbian is I left the country as a grown-up person at the age of 25, knowing who I am, with the ability to uh, fit in and prosper and survive uh, in various countries, in various systems, in several languages, and continue to be me. So there is a
Adaptability.
thing.
Yeah, yeah.
There is a famous song in by Bijelo Dugme, a Bosnian band. I don't know if you know them. And basically, I will paraphrase, and they say, uh, the, "Whose teeth don't grow in this land, uh, their mother will weep," something like that. But basically, I think a you come out of Serbia as a fully baked, fully fit a person with defined identity, with defined morals, uh, with
Mm,
with with knowing who you are. And in that way, you come and you represent Serbia in a way that, hey, this is who I am, this is what my country is. You can be proud in a very, very comfortable way. And I think um, I haven't seen, you have people coming from different countries and they will be like, I need to adapt a little, or I will just go on and blast and see if it flies. And I think most of my friends, the people that I know, they just go, this is what I took from home, and this is what I carry around. So I would say a a
yeah, like
a
a more
functional
level of
package.
like preparedness and confidence.
Resilience,
in-
resilience of life.
That's
Yeah,
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
That's it. That's
confidence
it.
in showing your place.
We grow teeth in a different way.
Yeah, yeah,
sure.
yeah. Awesome.
Man, appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Thank you so much for sharing this, Rod.
Loved it.
And yeah, man, I have to say, like, congratulations for being right here in Brazil, like for moving from totally different environment there in London, like living your life right there just to be here and present for your kid. I know how might be struggling for you in the first months and coming here for the first time, and then you have the courage and the hustling and the resilience to be right here just to be next to your kid. So congratulations for this, man.
It
Yeah.
is extremely important for him, and you see it on a daily basis. It is extremely important, and you see on a daily basis the result of your work, and there is nothing more
Fulfilling.
uh,
Yeah.
fulfilling than seeing this is what I did today, and I see it immediately.
Sure.
Yeah.
Congratulations,
awesome.
man.
That's awesome.
Thank you very
And to
much,
our
guys.
listeners, thank you so much for reaching the end of this episode. Be sure to follow us at Podcast WWP on Instagram and Facebook, and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Tell us what you thought of this amazing country and
Leave us
episode.
5 stars on Spotify. It's very important for us to grow up and break the algorithm.
For sure, guys. So we'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.
Bye bye.